If your Ford F-150 is idling roughly or unevenly, the engine shakes. Or maybe it's just sounding offbeat from what it used to be. The RPM needle bounces, and the truck feels like it's on the verge of stalling. And when you accelerate, the problem goes away, at least until you slow down again. This video is for you. This is one of the most common complaints among F-150 owners, especially in older or higher mileage models. A rough idle in a Ford F-150 can be caused by a long list of issues, but two of the most common and most confusing are vacuum leaks and ignition system issues, particularly spark plugs. Both can make your truck run rough at idle, misfire, or even stall, but they do it in different ways. Understanding how to tell them apart can save you from wasting money on unnecessary parts and help you fix your truck the right way the first time. Now, let's go through how to diagnose a rough idle in your Ford F-150, how to tell whether it's caused by a vacuum leak or faulty spark plugs, and how to get your truck running smoothly again. So, what does a rough idle feel like in a Ford F-150? A rough idle typically means your truck shakes or vibrates more than usual while it's idling. In park, at a stop sign, or in drive with your foot on the brake. You might notice inconsistent or fluctuating RPMs, hear the engine sputter or misfire, and feel uneven performance. Sometimes the truck may even stall, and while it may seem to drive fine at highway speeds, the idle issue tends to return once you slow down. In many cases, the check engine light may come on. In others, the problem sneaks in without any warning lights at all. This inconsistency can make it difficult to figure out what's really going on, especially since different problems can cause the same symptoms. In most Ford F-150s, especially those with the 4.6L, 5.4L Triton, 3.5L EcoBoost, and 5.0L Coyote engines, rough idle complaints increase noticeably after 80,000 to 120,000 miles. The cause can vary slightly by engine generation. The older Triton V8s often suffer from vacuum and EGR leaks, while the EcoBoost and 5.0L engines are more prone to coil and carbon buildup issues. Common causes of idling issues in Ford F-150. Rough idle in a Ford is mostly due to vacuum leaks, though it is often overlooked. This is especially true in F-150s with the 4.6L, 5.4L, or 3.5L EcoBoost engines. These engines rely on a sealed vacuum system to maintain the correct air-fuel ratio. When a vacuum leak is present, especially one caused by a crack, broken hose, or faulty gasket, it allows unmetered air into the engine, throwing off the delicate balance of fuel and air. This causes the engine to run lean, especially at idle when the computer is trying to keep things stable with minimal fuel. As a result, you might feel the truck sputter, shake, or idle roughly. In colder weather, this effect can be even worse. Common sources of vacuum leaks in the F-150 include cracked or dry-rotted vacuum hoses, damaged PCV valves or lines, intake manifold gasket leaks, throttle body gasket leaks, and loose or cracked EVAP hoses. On turbocharged engines like the EcoBoost, even small leaks in boost control or PCV lines can cause significant idle problems. You might also hear a faint hissing sound around the engine bay if the leak is large enough. In some EcoBoost engines, a leaking intercooler or charge pipe O-ring can mimic a vacuum leak at idle. Additionally, aging PCV valves can cause a lean at idle condition without setting immediate codes. Now, how do you check or detect a vacuum leak specifically in the F-150? Simple. Start by opening your car bonnet or hood. Then check all visible vacuum lines and rubber hoses for cracks, splits, or signs of wear. Also look around the intake manifold, throttle body, and PCV system for anything out of place. Now, if you notice any of these issues, most likely the idling issue is due to a vacuum leak. In that case, you need to fix it, and I will get to the part where I show you how to identify and fix the leak in a bit. But before then, let's say you didn't see any of these signs, or you are probably still not sure. Then you have to perform a carb cleaner test, which, for me, is the most effective DIY method to find a vacuum leak, even when the signs are not obvious. To do this, turn on your vehicle and have the engine idling, then lightly spray carb cleaner or brake cleaner around any suspected hoses or vacuum connections. If you notice a bubble or the engine's idle suddenly changes, either speeding up or smoothing out, you've likely found your leak. Now, for more accurate results, especially if you can't find the leak visually, a smoke test is another good test to do. Now, this might require you to go to a mechanic because you don't have a smoke machine, but if you have the machine, then here is what to do. Use the smoke machine and pump smoke into the intake system like this, and if there's a leak, you'll see the smoke escaping exactly where the problem is. Also, checking for OBD2 trouble codes can also help. Codes like P0171, System 2 Lean, Bank 1, and P0174, System 2 lean, bank 2, are clear signs that unmetered air may be entering the engine, which is pointing to a vacuum leak. When you find the source of the vacuum leak, the fix is simple, but you will need a small screwdriver or pliers to loosen clamps or hoses. For a loose clamp or hoses, you want to reseat and tighten the hose clamp or push the hose securely back onto its fitting. And for cracked rubber hoses, cut out the damaged section and splice in a short piece of new vacuum hose with the same inner diameter, using small plastic or metal connectors. Broken PCV valve or elbow. Replace the PCV valve or the rubber elbow. These parts are inexpensive and fail frequently. Lastly, for the intake manifold gasket leak. If your spray test confirms a leak around the intake, you'll need to replace the gasket. It's not a hard job, but it takes more time and care. I will link a video on how to replace the gasket below, so to check it out. Once the repair is done, clear any lean codes, P0171/P0174, using an OBD2 scanner. Then drive the truck for a few miles to confirm the idle has smoothed out and that your long-term fuel trims, LTFT, are back within normal range, ideally within pluses 10%. Now moving to the next possible cause of F-150's idling issue is bad or worn spark plugs. So if you've ruled out vacuum leaks and the truck still idles roughly, the next thing to check is the ignition system. Starting with the spark plugs. In many F-150s, especially those with high mileage or that haven't had recent tune-ups, the spark plugs are either worn out, improperly gapped, or fouled with carbon or oil. The job of a spark plug is to ignite air-fuel mixture in each cylinder at the right time. When a plug doesn't fire correctly, whether from wear, buildup, or damage, it creates a misfire. At idle, where engine load is low and timing is critical, these misfires become much more noticeable. Signs of bad spark plugs include a shaking engine at idle, decreased fuel economy, hesitation when accelerating, and sometimes a check engine light with misfire codes like P0300, random multiple misfires, or P0301 to P0308 cylinder-specific misfires. Ignition coils can also fail and cause similar symptoms. In many F-150s, each spark plug has its own coil on plug. If a coil starts to break down, especially under heat, it may fail intermittently, causing a rough idle without consistent trouble codes. How to diagnose spark plug and coil problems. To check for spark issues, use a code scanner to pull any trouble codes from the engine control module. If you see a specific misfire code, like P0302 for cylinder 2, that's a great place to start. Next, remove the spark plugs and inspect them. You're looking for heavy carbon buildup, dry black soot, oil fouling, wet, shiny black, cracks or worn electrodes, excessive spark plug gap. If one plug looks drastically worse than the others, it's likely your problem cylinder. Replace all the plugs if they're old or worn, don't just do one. If you suspect a coil is bad, try swapping it with another cylinder. If the misfire code follows the coil to the new location, you've found the faulty coil. Also check for moisture or oil inside the spark plug wells. This is especially common in F-150s with leaking valve cover gaskets. Moisture or oil can short out the coils or cause arcing, leading to misfires and rough idle. Throttle body, MAF sensor, and fuel delivery. Other possibilities. While vacuum leaks and ignition issues are the top two suspects, there are a few other things that can cause rough idle in your F-150. A dirty throttle body can cause idle problems, especially if the carbon buildup prevents the throttle plate from closing properly. Removing and cleaning the throttle body with proper cleaner can often restore smooth idle. The mass airflow, MAF sensor, is another key player. If it's dirty or giving false readings, the engine may receive incorrect air-fuel ratios. Cleaning the MAF sensor with a dedicated cleaner, never touch the wires, can solve idle issues quickly. Don't overlook fuel delivery issues either. A weak fuel pump, dirty injectors, or a clogged fuel filter can cause lean conditions that mimic vacuum leaks or misfires. Use fuel system cleaner or have the injectors tested if other systems check out. Other systems that can contribute include a stuck-open EGR valve on older F-150s, a faulty idle air control, IAC valve on pre-2010 models, or a dirty intake valve on direct injection EcoBoost engines. For EcoBoost owners, carbon buildup on intake valves can lead to poor idle quality, which may require walnut blasting to restore performance. Low fuel pressure, below 35 psi at idle, can also cause a rough or hunting idle. Check with a fuel pressure gauge if you suspect a delivery issue. Step-by-step diagnosis strategy. If your F-150 is idling rough, here's a logical path to follow. Scan for codes. Use an OBD2 scanner to see if the ECU has logged any misfires or lean codes. Check for vacuum leaks. Inspect hoses, spray around connections, or get a smoke test done. Inspect spark plugs. Replace if old, worn, or fouled. Use OEM spec plugs. Test ignition coils. Swap coils to isolate a failing one. Replace any that test bad. Clean the throttle body and MAF sensor. Use appropriate cleaners only. Consider fuel system issues. Add injector cleaner or check pressure if idle issues persist. If all else checks out, perform a compression test or cylinder leak down test to rule out mechanical causes like burnt valves, worn piston rings, or timing chain stretch, especially on older 5.4L Triton engines. Low compression in one or more cylinders can also mimic a misfire. If you're still unsure after all this, please consult a qualified technician. Now it's your turn. Please support the channel by liking and sharing this video and subscribe to the channel. Before you go, check out this other video here on how to clean the oxygen sensor because it could also trigger an idling issue.